and gentlemen. I got a special one for you because today we're gonna talk about a couple of different things, but let me kick it off with my little bit of AKAs. This is Doc, aka Dr. Lariat, aka Ruben Lashley, aka Rob Pandan, aka Holla Holla Holla. It's Teddy Longanisa, aka Big Match John Sinagang, aka the Big Gun Killer Randy Ota, aka the Flanimal Bautista. I walk around the fire pit election, aka your host. And with me today, I have quite the guest. He's been a podcaster, a writer for um, The Observer. You can find him on Fight Game. You can find him on F4W. I have with me a dad, a grandpa. He's also a fellow brother in the a fellow brother who believes in the Christ our Lord. I have with me Mr. Paul Fontaine. How you doing, man?
Not bad. When you said we're gonna try to go for an hour, I didn't realize that was just gonna be you repeating all your nicknames. Uh, but no, it's
Hey,
cool. It's cool. Yeah, we have a lot in common, which is
yeah,
which is cool. We've been talking offline for a bit, and I like I said, just recently, became familiar with you, and yeah, it's kind. I like what you're doing here.
yeah. I appreciate that. To like all my listeners out there, like Paul, he basically Garrett Gonzalez suggested I interview Paul like multiple times, and I'm not a shy guy, so like I went ahead and I asked Paul if he would come on, and he was straight away, you know, he was just being a buddy, and like he just said yes, and I was so happy because he's someone who I looked up to as far as podcasting, because I love your MMA coverage, man. Like there's some people who you listen to and like it's just like straight results or it's just like they have like this other like ulterior motive to what they're promoting, but not you, man. You focus on the fights, you focus on like where you see it going in the division, you see all that stuff. And there's other guys I love who did MMA coverage that don't do it anymore, like rest in peace Jordan Green. And it's just, man, you Canadian brothers really love that MMA.
Yeah, I wish I did more of it. Like I get to go on Wrestling Observer Radio once a month and talk about the UFC pay-per-views. I used to
Yeah,
have a weekly show that I did with Ryan Frederick, and that was a lot of fun. The problem is, and it wasn't my problem, but it was Ryan's. He put so much work into that show where he would do like I just came on and I basically pressed record
yeah.
and I gave my thoughts and it was so easy. But Ryan did all the back work and he set up the topics and the only thing I did, the only real work I ever did was whenever we would have guests, I would be the one that would line up the guests. But that was like we didn't have very many guests. We
Yeah.
got to talk to John Silver one time, which was really cool.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's an MMA fan, so we had him on covering a UFC with us, and I talked to a couple UFC fighters, so that was cool. Could have
Yeah.
done more, but we had a good run. It was 3 or 4 years, made a little bit of money, and had a lot of fun. So you can't beat that.
Yeah, you can't really beat that. And like,
Yeah,
when we talk about podcasting, this is like a creative outlet for me.
absolutely.
It's like if you are in this in pursuit of money, I gotta say to you, like, good luck.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, man, because the people who make it in here have to do so much work, like all respect, like going online, making sure your media is all that. And what I like to do is I just like to record conversations I have with people
Mhm.
who I respect and look up to. And
Yeah.
you were telling me like because now I really want to hear that because this concept of this is just sharing a conversation with somebody and having the people that are listening feel like they're in the room. And
Yeah.
I love that concept because it was called Grandpa Des. That's what you were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. So I did this show called Cup of Joe with Grandpa Des. And Cup of Joe, if you don't know, it's an old expression. It basically means having a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And I started it during the pandemic when, we were all trapped in our houses. And so it was basically just having a conversation with friends because you weren't seeing your friends very much. And I basically just on a whim just decided to start doing this. And I encourage you, if when I send you the link, try to listen back from the first episode because
Yeah.
you'll see the evolution of the show. Because when I started, I didn't even really know what it was. I just knew I had this idea and I wanted to try it. And the very first episode I had, and Mike Gilbert, do you know Mike Gilbert?
Yeah, I actually recorded with Mike the other day.
Okay, there you go. So Mike agreed on very short notice to come on and do a show with me. And
Yeah.
we had this conversation that was incredible. And it's nothing that you would expect. I don't even want to spoil it because you won't believe it. And by the end
Oh,
of it, I feel like you'll be hooked and you'll want to listen to like all, I think I did like 54 episodes. And I had Dave Meltzer on, I had Brian Alvarez on, I had Colt Cabana
yeah.
on, which was cool. I reached out to Colt and he was just, yeah, let's do it, brother. I'm in Australia. I'm filming a TV show and I got time to burn. And he's like, cool, let's do it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it, and throughout that time, like I was growing as a podcaster because I was also doing other shows. So you could
Yeah.
actually see there's more production that comes into it. There's better video. And by the end, it feels more like a real podcast with a purpose. Whereas at the beginning, it was just turn on the camera, let's record a conversation,
Oh
you know?
yeah.
So, it was so much fun. And then I kind of did, and you know about this one, The Joy of Wrestling, which was,
Yeah.
I tried that for a little while and it just kind of, I had a lot of fun doing it, but it just kind of, I don't know if I got bored with it or it was hard finding guests. You know how that is, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of gave up on that. And plus I didn't realize there was a website out there called The Joy of Wrestling too. So I was like, if I get successful, I'll probably have to change a name, and I don't really want to
Yeah.
change a name. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But Cup of Joe with Grandpa Dez was a great thing, and I literally I sang my own theme song, like Cup of Joe with Grandpa Dez. It
Yeah.
was so cheesy, but people liked it.
Yeah. And I know you're a father of six, and then
Yep,
you're also a grandfather of two, and
four,
man, a
four.
grandpa of four, and I'm
Yeah,
just
two
like
two that are Filipino.
two that are Filipino, and that's like
Yeah.
that's a connection that we have here. I know in the
Mhm.
Peg there's a lot of Filipino
Yep.
because I have family in the Peg.
Lots.
I have a
Yeah.
lot of family in the Peg, a lot of
We have
family
a
in
lot of Filipino
Edmonton.
restaurants that are really
Yeah.
popular. And what's funny is we had when I was a kid, there was a uh, like a kids nightclub that was really popular.
Oh
And when it
wow.
first started, they called it Flipside, and they ended up having to change the name because I don't know if I don't know how old you are. I'm guessing mid-30s.
I'm actually 40, sir.
40. Okay, you look good.
Thank you.
But back then, uh, Flip was a bad nickname for Filipino people. Like that's
Yeah.
what you would, and so that was what, and there was a lot of Filipino kids that loved going to this, kids nightclub because you guys
Yeah.
love to dance. And so
Definitely.
they changed it to Changes, which
Yeah.
is cool. It was a cool
That's
name.
cool.
But yeah, but yeah, so I didn't know that, growing up that I was going to be a part of that community in some way.
Hey
But my
man.
daughter married a nice Filipino man, and he's a good kid, and he's a good dad.
Yeah. You talk about me looking good for 40, man. You don't look like no grandpa.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm 54. We got married young.
Uh,
So but it scares me that my grandson's 9. So
yeah.
like theoretically, like 10 years from now, I could be a great grandpa, and still got all
Hey,
my hair, which is cool.
hey, yeah, I
Um,
don't have my hair, so but
yeah.
I just like because there's something I wrote because I nowadays I kind of write something out for like what my mission statement is as opposed I
Mhm.
used to send out like here's my here's my how my show is going to be run, here's the rundown of like the questions I ask, and some people really appreciated that, but then I'm like I that was cool for like my first maybe like and people will hear them because like I interspersed like the first couple of interviews I did in between like my more professional ones.
Mhm.
Like I when I listened back to the weight episode I did and then I heard like my cell phone go off, I was so mad. But it wasn't even mine, it was my wife's who was like in the living room. But like, sometimes like sound travels, and I'm like, oh, I can't really
Oh,
fix
hey,
it.
that happened to me when I was recording with Garrett not that long ago, and yeah,
Yeah,
he gave me a hard time about it because my
yeah,
phone is like right here, and
yeah,
I always shut it off, but sometimes I forget.
yeah. So you just gotta like, you just gotta make sure like it's on silent sometimes. But I'm just like, oh God, no, I don't want that. And but like, it's just I'm not really I'm not really a professional broadcaster. I,
Well,
like
no, nobody is. Well, I shouldn't
nobody.
say nobody.
Well, I mean,
There is. I think there's a million podcasts in North America,
yeah,
and what do you figure? Probably less than 500 of the people actually make good money at it. And when I say less than, it might be less than 100, like maybe more than 100, but there's not that many people that actually make money at it. So to call yourself a professional, you can certainly act like a professional and you can do a professional show, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's your living,
yeah,
because as you said, it's so much work. Like, and what we do, like, I don't know, but I mean, you're telling me about a lot of stuff you do, and you're putting a lot of time and effort into this.
yeah,
Whereas with me, like, I do 2 shows a week, and I between prep, I mean, I guess I'm not considering the stuff I watch and cover, but just the actual work is
yeah.
probably 3 hours, maybe.
Oh,
Because the rest of it, I would be watching those shows anyways. So I'm just talking about stuff I would normally watch.
which
So
is what you want, man.
yeah.
Because like when it comes to these interviews, I usually do like if I get someone that's like known in this kind of space, I do a little bit of a deep dive. Like
Okay.
I learn about what you guys. I read a couple of like old articles. I look like into your history, and like I like getting to know that person so that when I could bring stuff up in interview, like it'll be like, oh, okay. So, and I love something. I when I talk to like normie people, like it's just people like I talk to like say like on Reddit or on a Discord. And like we just been chatting and then like I was like, okay, would you like to be on my show? It's about pro wrestling, right? And so I interviewed this guy the other day and he's like, because beforehand he like he DM'd me, he said like, hey dude, I really want to talk wrestling because I can't really talk with wrestling with anybody because nobody around me ever talks about it. So, I hit record and he said like I only had him for 40 minutes, right? But then he just let all of it out and it was 2 hours
Oh,
on like why
wow.
he loves pro wrestling. And I'm
Wow.
like, sometimes you get that content from people like that never done a show or like this is
Yeah.
something that they don't really believe in themselves, and then all of a sudden they're all chatty Cathys and able to get that I love that. Um, because like you said, sometimes you kind of run out of like guests, right?
Hmm.
Because you're like, okay, I'm gonna try to find this person. Okay, let me build up to this person. Let me build up to that person. And I'm like, there's a finite amount of people you can talk to and like get to know for the first time. But like when it comes to like these episodes, like mine with you right now, I treasure them because like
Oh,
it's like a first introduction.
yeah.
And then like you kind of like get a little bit of insight. Like I never knew that you kind of were. I know that you're from Winnipeg in Canada, so I was like, okay, he probably knows some Filipino people. But like to you to actually be in the having family, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, obviously. And now I'm like, because the thing I wrote was basically I sent it to people, and it's just them finding about my history and what my purpose is in this podcast. Basically, my purpose is to tell these stories or have people tell their stories, and so that it could be like kept on record somewhere and say like a book happens, say whatever happens or like say like you're on your deathbed somewhere, hopefully not, but like 20 years down the line, but there's still like an existence of this show where you can say to your kids, grandkids, great grandkids, wherever, you say like, hey, look, your pop pop did like this did this show, do you want to listen to it? And I'm like, okay. And I think that part about it is cool, is we're like preserving some people's stories, because I talk to a lot of people who also are like alone and they don't have anybody to talk to about like really anything. And so like to get these kind of stories, like this one kid I interviewed, he came from the foster care system in Canada and he came out of it like a good man. And I think that's kind of story is pretty interesting, to be
Hmm.
abandoned by your parents and then like you get adopted by this. by a family that's like a different race. So like you were born this, but then you're raised as a Caribbean kid, and I think that's pretty cool. And like to have that you come out the other side as like a fully formed, fully functioning human being who has a love of life. I think that's great. And for you, man, like I noticed like on your social media, you put first like you're a Christian, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And like a lot of times nowadays, we usually try to avoid like any talk of like religion, right? Like a lot of people like just say, "Oh, you should avoid that kind of talk." But like, no, there. So like, yeah, especially in America, people have perverted what Christianity is and use it as a
Absolutely.
form. They use it as a shield for their bigotry and hatred. But as someone that grew up in the church and as a Catholic and like as someone who's raised Catholic and most of my family is Catholic, and a lot of my family is Christian, it's just like, you know what? In our family, we were never raised to like hate or like put people outside or just like have this hate in your heart. You are supposed to have like this love in your heart. You're supposed to have charity, faith, community. Those
Hmm.
are like the tenets of like what I was taught as a child and up into this adulthood. So to see that kind of like perverted in a way to like, oh no, actually it's too woke to give charity to people and all that stuff. I'm like, so if Jesus Christ existed today, he would be too woke for the masses because he'd make he'd have fish and bread for everyone, regardless if you're rich or poor. He would,
He'd be going. I think he'd be marching in gay pride parades.
yeah,
He would be doing things that people that right now call themselves Christians would be against, because he was about love and he was about inclusion and he was about not, like, it's not that he's condoning whether or not it's a sin or not, because
yeah,
honestly, as you know, we're all sinners.
yeah,
So for whether or not being gay is something that is accepted in the Christian religion, that doesn't, the person themselves is a child of God no matter what, and
yeah,
Jesus is going to love that person unconditionally. So that, and when people, and other people that are oppressed, when they are feeling that oppression, that's who Jesus is going to fight for. He's
yeah,
not going to be joining in and piling on to the oppression. He's going to be on the other side of it, because
yeah,
that's the whole basis of it. And
yeah,
so
man,
for me, like, I think the problem with that people have with Christianity is not so much the it's not so much the concept or even the religion itself. It is the people that have bastardized what the religion actually is. And you get
yeah,
that on both sides of the aisle,
yeah,
like, whether you're Christian or Muslim or, like any other religion. I think that they're all like good in at the core. But
yeah.
what's happened is people have perverted things and take it to the extreme, and then you become the exact opposite of what you're supposed to be.
Yeah, and like I just to me, like I believe, like you've seen the hymns in church, you do like
Mhm.
the ceremony. Since I'm Catholic, it's you do you pray, you kneel, you get up, you kneel, you get up, and then you do the Lord's
Yeah,
Prayer
yeah.
and all that stuff. But like it's and like for a while, right? For a while, I lost my faith because it's
Mhm.
just kind of some things that my church did, and like
Me
they
too.
protected the wrong people. It kind of it's just like, man, why are you saving these? And then, I kind of sit down for myself and like, I do readings and I read and yeah, like I have a lot of time to like read nowadays. So like I do like a little bit of theological study and I do a little bit of like history study. And then like I realize, hey, you know what? Like the church and all that, they might have been protecting these sort of people, but even though like I don't go to church that much, I still pray, right? I
Mhm.
pray. I still have my faith. I still have my I have my crucifix in the car along with next to my Buddha thing
That's
because
Hey,
my my
that's the
wife's
key.
uh my wife's mom is Buddhist, so we have like a Buddhist thing. But like my parents also had a Buddhist charm in the car next to the next to the next to the cross, and like it's just there's different signs of faith because my mother-in-law she's a Buddhist, right? And she does a lot of prayer, and I know she absolutely cares about me and loves me, and like she when she brings me to like you know some pla she brings me to like some places for like some spiritual healing kind of thing, and I'm like I feel it. I feel the love. I feel like the faith that you have in your whatever in the person that in the religion that you're worshiping in. I can feel that love, and you're trying to use that to make me feel better, right? And then like over the weekend, one of my aunts, she's right now she's fighting pancreatic cancer, right? So over the weekend she spent time like in the ER because so she was like she couldn't wake up, and my cousin-in-laws this is my wife's friend. He had he just was phoning from where he was at, and then he says some things online on like in the group text like are like a little bit problematic for me. But when we saw each other face to face, and I had this kind of conversation with Mike, where man, we're all together, we're here family. We none of that stuff you say online really matters when you're in front of me because I love you, you're my brother.
Right.
And so like um so him and like my other aunt, his mom were praying over our aunt, who's just like she's out of it, and like we are just waiting for her to wake up, right? So like we're praying over her, and as they're praying, my aunt's like waking up and she's crying because she feels the love being surrounded by the family and the prayers, and it's beautiful. That part of faith is beautiful, and like when I lost my aunt earlier this year, and a lot about in Filipino culture is we have these 40 days, right? 40 days of prayer. And so during those 40 days, we usually the whole family gets together and we just sit, pray, eat, and love on each other. And it's beautiful to come together and just grieve as a community, which is, when you're in a Filipino family, it doesn't matter if you're a third cousin or a first cousin or if you're my
Yeah.
brother, we're all just in the same level of love. And so to like be surrounded by the love and surround like my cousin and his family who lost their mom with all that love. And then, a couple months down the road, like my cousin's dog who I was helping take care of, he passes away. That was my cousin's dog that his mom like basically that was her baby. So he was 15 years old and then he passed on. And then like I was so sad, but he did his 15 years of duty and now he's with his love of his life, his mom up in heaven, my aunt, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay. And like that sort of thing, like when you think about like kingdom of heaven and like I know a lot of people don't have the faith and don't believe in that, but I also believe people kind of we don't know. We don't know, right? And I just believe like as long as you live your life in a way where you're positive, where you help people, where you do charity, where you're just a human and you care about other people, like you don't even have to give the charity. As long as you care about the people that are in your life and you really like you ride for them, that's kind of important to me. Like if you don't have anybody you can do that for, like that is sad for me. That's sad for me. I like feel like for you like man, I don't know what it feels like to not have people to love, but like let me love you, man. Let me
Can
be
I
your
can I
friend.
tell you can I tell you a story that I think you'll really appreciate, and I've never told this. Um, so I have an aunt, and when you were talking about your aunt that just passed away, it reminded me of this, and I've never talked about this. But this aunt of mine. So growing up, I had my mom was 16 when she had me, and
Yeah.
she split up with my dad when they got married at 18, and they split up within 2 years. And so my mom raised me for a few years as a single mom. Then she got remarried, but it was kind of a community relationship. So she had five sisters, one older, four younger, and they all kind of filled different roles in my life. And the oldest aunt was very much like a second mom to me.
Yeah.
And when I moved out of home for the first time, I actually moved in with her because I was fighting with my own parents, and I wanted to be in a stable place, so I went and lived with her. So when I was about 18, and her daughter, my cousin, was a couple years younger than me, and we were like, we grew up, we were like brother and sister, and we went to the same school, and we had a lot of the same friends, and we were having problems at church because the church was very cliquey, and the people in the church, we came from poor families, and they were just doing things. We either couldn't afford to go out with them, or we didn't have nice clothes, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So my aunt started a Bible study at her home, and she invited kids, so me and my cousin and our friends, and we'd have some weeks it was only 4 or 5 kids, some weeks we'd have 15. It would vary, and my aunt would put in all this work. She would type out the sermons with the notes, and she would give us all copies. So, and this is before like printing off. This is in the 80s. She was literally typing new copies. She couldn't afford photocopies, so she was retyping everything for all of us. I saved all that, and I kept it, and it was in a drawer, and occasionally I would look at it. And then just earlier this year, well, last year, my aunt had a stroke,
Yeah.
and she couldn't move very well. She couldn't really speak. She would try, and occasionally you could understand words, but she would understand everything that people were saying to her, but she just couldn't communicate back out.
Mm.
And eventually the idea of doctor assisted suicide was brought to her, and
Mm.
she wanted it because her husband died of a heart attack 20 years ago, and I think she's been seriously lonely ever since then, and she wanted to be with him again. So she made a decision. We were going to do this. The day before the doctor assisted suicide was supposed to happen, we went to visit her for the last time. So
Yeah.
my wife and I and our daughter get there, and my oldest daughter came with her kids as well. We get there, and my cousin, who grew up as like my sister, she was there, and her sister, younger, and her husband and their kids. Now I hadn't seen their kids. Their kids varied probably from about 12 to maybe early 20s.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen them in years. But they're all there. They want to see their grandma. And I brought one of the sermons, and I started to read it to her.
Yeah.
And she like started crying, and she was so happy. She couldn't believe that I still had this. And then I told her grandkids the story about how when I was your age, this is what your grandmother did for me. And this is what your grandmother, what a amazing woman she is. And and they didn't know. And they're not Christians. Like they don't like for whatever reason they didn't grow up like that. But they listened to every word that was in this sermon, and they were crying, and it was like it was unreal. And then she died the next day, and she died. They were singing her favorite song when she died, and she was trying to sing along with them. She could do the tune. She couldn't get the words out. But yeah, it was something else. And and it was my mom died about 7 years ago.
Mm.
And way too young. She was only 62, I think, maybe. And my dad died as well a year earlier. He was only 60. And so
Yeah.
yeah, this was like she was the closest thing to a mom I had left. And
Yeah.
yeah, now I'm the patriarch. But it was so cool to be able to share that with her family, you know.
That
And
that
yeah,
that's beautiful, man.
yeah, thanks.
I'm a,
I like I said, I never really shared that with anybody.
that's beautiful, man. Whew, I need to.
I can see you're talking. We should like completely change the subject and talk about
Oh,
wrestling.
hold on, hold on. Let me.
Who I've submitted my life to, who rules over my life, who controls my life.
Man, I gotta say, man, I had to take a cry break in the middle of that because we're just sharing, man, and like this is the part of faith and family and love that like
Mhm.
that really appeals to me. And like when I sent you that thing I wrote, it was about like keeping these stories of my family and keeping my family together, and like the generation that's come after me, like the children and my nieces and nephews, just like to give them like, hey, your grandma, she used to like tell us these stories, and like you are you are the keeper of the flame now for the family to pass down these stories down to down. And
Yeah, I'm the oldest. It's well, I mean, I still have some aunts, but as you get older, you don't see them as much. So
yeah,
like we used to all get together at my grandma's on Christmas and Easter, and now everyone comes here, but it's my grandkids and my
yeah,
kids. Like we've had as many as 25 people here,
yeah,
and that's just with my kids, their significant others, their kids, and then some other extended family,
yeah,
like I'll invite my brother and sister every year. They hardly ever come.
yeah,
My cousin, who I mentioned, she used to come, but now she's got grown up kids, and she does her own thing too. So,
yeah,
but I see her once a week. She comes and she actually cleans our house for us, and we pay her.
yeah.
And that's her job. Like she doesn't really work much. Her husband, their house is paid off, and her husband's got a job, and yeah, so
That's
it's kind of
nice, man.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
That
The
it's good
families
to
are
be
really close.
blessed.
You mentioned the foster system. You probably didn't
Yeah.
know I am. So 4 of my 6 kids are actually foster kids.
Oh,
Um,
that's
yeah, except
bless you,
they like,
man.
even though they're out of the system now, they're still our kids.
Yeah,
So like one of them still lives here. He's 26. Yeah, we're not getting paid for him to be here.
yeah,
And he pays rent, but not very much. And yeah, but they're actually our kid. Like, so the 4 kids are actually my nieces and nephew by
okay.
birth, but they were taken from my sister in through the foster system, and then we agreed to take them in. And yeah, so I have experience, and then I work, like my day job is I work in family services. So
Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah. My brother, well, now she's my sister, also works in child services
okay,
over here in America. So like she's it's a rough job. It's a rough job because of what you see. And I gotta like say, man, like thank you for man. I don't even have to say thank you, man. You have that love in your heart for your nieces and nephews
oh yeah,
or
yeah.
whoever. And like it's great that you were able to do that and make sure like that your family kind of stays with
Well,
family.
and this is because of God. Like, so in 2000, sorry, I'll be back a little bit further. 1997.
Yeah,
Um, I was I was I wasn't going to church anymore. I was married. We had 2 kids. We had a house, but I had a really bad alcohol problem,
yeah.
and I crashed my car, lost my license, and I basically was at a crossroads. And I had to. My wife said, like, you have to do something. So I went to AA, but through AA, what I found was I eventually found my relationship with God, and
Mm,
that got me back to church. And by 2000, um, we were doing better. And my aunt, who I talked about earlier,
yeah,
had a conversation with us, and she says to me, she says like, and we said, like we're doing better, but like still like we're having problems with money, and we never seem to have enough, and all this. And then she says, "Well, you're tithing, right?" And I said, "No, like we never have enough money to tithe." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "That's your first bill." I says, "Well, no, we got to pay our mortgage." No, you have to tithe first, and then everything else will take care of itself. And I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Trust me." And I was like, I didn't believe her, but I was like, nothing else is working, so let's do it. So I set up like an automatic payment, like literally 10% of our check every week, every 2 weeks goes to the church. Within 5 years, I'm kid you not, the amount of money that we were paying in taxes on our income was more than we had been earning 5 years earlier. The
wow.
amount, and that put us in a position to where we could look after our nieces and nephews. In 2000, there's no way. Like we couldn't have taken in kids. And by
Yeah,
2005, and by 2012, oh my God, like we were doing so well. and it's not like, and we're not rich or anything, but we have a nice house, we have money in the
Yeah,
bank, we are able to take care of these kids, we're able to raise them to adulthood, whereas like they may be on the streets right now if they had stayed with their mom, like
that's
because she
beautiful,
is,
man.
so
Oof.
yeah, and we're, and so that's the thing, and that was another life lesson that she taught us. And you know what, not everyone's going to listen to that stuff.
Yeah,
Like her own kids don't listen to it, but for
yeah.
whatever reason I did. So I guess I
Oh,
get a little bit of credit, but
yeah,
she put it in my head. So and my wife as well, like
yeah.
I lucked out so much with my wife.
Oh
Like
man, I
yeah.
that's beautiful. Yeah, I also feel lucky to have my wife because like I wouldn't have the things that we have without her. I mean,
Yeah.
I could live with my wife in a mud hut, but I'm happy we don't live in a mud hut. I'm happy we
I'd be
live in this
dead.
beautiful
I
home.
would literally be dead if I
Same,
wasn't married to her. Like
same here, man.
there's no question. No, zero question in my mind. I would be dead right now.
She's the whole
So
reason my diabetes got back under control. I stopped drinking because of her. I started jujitsu because of her. Like, because she
nice.
told me to like I needed to get in shape because she wanted me alive, just because she wanted to spend her life with me. And like I was like, oh, okay, so this is why I should actually care what I'm doing because I used to be 315,
Oh
350
my goodness.
pounds, and
Wow.
now I'm not. I, but
I
like
think I found a lot of that weight you lost.
brother, I like you.
Hey, another Filipino connection. The very first MMA show I ever did, I didn't tell you this because I mentioned Josh Nation, but it was
Yeah.
actually the weigh-in with a guy named Marvin Timong, and
Okay.
he's a local radio guy here in Winnipeg. And he had a weekly show, and he would bring me on every once in a while to for like 2 hours, and it was like actually on real radio, like
Yeah.
over the air, like it was really cool. And he's like, kind of look, you guys kind of look alike, and
Yeah.
yeah, Big Marv was his nickname. And yeah, so if you ever you could probably find some of those old episodes. Like I don't know, I did it
Oh,
like 4 or 5 times, but
yeah.
he's
Yeah.
a big part of the Filipino community as well, and super, like, just an amazing dude.
Yeah. That's wonderful, man.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about Filipino community, a lot of Filipinos like we love karaoke.
Yeah.
We love karaoke. So like there's always like that sort of like performative part of the culture where we love to like sing and dance and all that stuff. I like a lot of my cousins were surprised, my friends and like my wife's friends are surprised like I do a show like this because like, I'm so reserved. I'm
Mhm.
so reserved and but it's just like, it's something there's like a little click when I do this show where like I kind of like put myself in a different headspace and my wife hates this sort of like uh broadcast voice that I have because it's not even close to like my real voice. But it's just something that it just clicks. And you mentioned earlier that your mom had passed away 7 years ago. So did mine, and our moms
Oh,
are probably the same age. Because my
yeah, she
mom,
she was 62 when she died.
yeah, mom, that's how old my mom was, and it was like
Wow.
congestive heart failure for her.
That's mine too, actually. Well, COPD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
So,
the
similar.
pulmonary system, respiratory
Yeah.
system, same thing. Can't breathe. Harsh death, harsh death.
Very, very. She it was so sad because she was living on her own, and then the last 2 weeks of her life she came and lived with us. I didn't realize it was going to be the last 2 weeks of her life. But she came because she couldn't, like, take care of herself anymore. And then when I had to go into her place and move her stuff, we opened the drawers and she had all of her inhalers hadn't even been opened. So I don't know what she was doing, but she wasn't taking her meds and she wasn't using her inhaler,
Yeah,
and she was suffering. And she did, like, I think it was 29 ER trips by ambulance in the last 2 months that she was on her own, because we got all the bills too. We didn't pay them, but it's like they called me and they're like, "Oh, your mom was." It's like, okay, well, she's in the ground. Go dig it out and see if she has it, because I'm not paying. Like, well, what do you mean you're not paying? It's like, I'm not paying. Like, I'm not legally obligated to pay you. So yeah, it was. But yeah, I'm not proud of that, but it's kind of funny.
yeah. come and get it from her. I
That's what I
can't do
said.
anything.
Yeah, the income taxes too. I think she owed money to income tax. It's like, it's not like if she had an estate and I was like, inheriting it or something, well then yeah,
Yeah,
of course I'd have to pay. But she
yeah,
died broke. I mean, it's
yeah.
sad, but
Yeah. It's
it's like you can't
yeah,
go after me.
yeah.
for that.
It's sort of weird because 62 isn't old.
It's yeah, and right after my dad too, and my dad, it was well, see, we both have this bleeding disorder
Yeah.
that causes it's like hemophilia, and
Okay.
so that was a contributing factor to his death, but it was
Uh,
basically cancer and liver failure.
uh,
So
man.
he was 60, and yeah, it was really sad.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I
that's
was
rough,
with him when
man.
he died, which is, nice. When my mom died, I was out of the country because
Yeah,
our daughter was having a major surgery and we
yeah.
had to be with her. So, but yeah, it's yeah, but then it forced you to grow up, right?
Yeah, it forces you to grow up. You get these things. You get to remember like what I remember what my mom and dad just sacrificed for me to live the life that I
Hmm.
have because
Yeah,
as an immigrant as a child of immigrants uh I didn't really see my parents that much growing up because they had to work all the time. So like my grandma, my nana, my Lola, she would be the one that would be raising 30 of her grandchildren all at one time. Like
insane. Wow.
not just her grandchildren, but like the children of her nephews and nieces that like would drop off their kids to so that she would watch them. And so
Oh
like
yeah, our kids, like their Lola, she'll come in, like they live like 7 hours away, and she'll come in by train to watch her grandkids if my kids have something to do, rather than
yeah,
like asking us who live 10 minutes away, like because my daughter knows we have busy lives and it's hard for us and everything.
yeah,
So they'll call her and she'll drop everything on a dime and drive
and
out and help out. Like that's just the way she is.
like I have like my cousins live like basically I have a cousin that lives this way and that way and we're like a couple of streets away from each other, right? But like whenever they need me or to call on me for something, I'm always there
Where
because
are you, by the way?
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in
Oh,
Los
LA. Okay,
Angeles.
cool,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
And
I've only been there. Was there on my honeymoon. It's the only time I've ever been there.
brother, you should call
Yeah.
if you ever find your way out here, we should
I actually, there was one time when I went to Vegas and had planned to go to LA. We were gonna
yeah.
drive and rent because I got a friend out there, who I met through the Observer site, and actually Jeff Hawkins, who I do the
Uh
Dynamite Show with, he lives there too.
yeah,
And yeah, just never been able to get there. I go to
yeah.
Vegas all the time.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I
Vegas
love
is fun,
Vegas.
man.
I love
Vegas
Vegas.
is fun. Especially now like you could get like any kind of food out there. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter like, and like at any time of the day. That
I'm going in 2 weeks. I got a flight for $125 and I got a free room. Like, how can I beat that?
brother, Vegas is so like they're so desperate for tourists
Yes.
because like
$150 food credit too. So really, I'm getting paid to go if
yeah,
you look at it that way.
and then like and now it's also now like all parking is free. And like
Well, it doesn't matter.
most
I don't drive when
yeah,
I'm
you
there,
don't
so
drive, but like for us
yeah.
us
So
Angelinos, so
if I go there for WrestleMania next year, I could drive, is what you're saying.
oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could.
Because they used to
Um
charge like $50
oh man.
to park at a
If
hotel.
if we I want to set something up for you. Maybe we can meet up at that WrestleMania
Yeah,
because
I don't know. Like if I
if
go, I want to bring my daughter.
yeah.
Did you know about the stuff with my daughter and Becky Lynch?
Yeah, yeah. Also, it was beautiful, man. Like I saw Becky, was it Bailey and someone else was in that picture, but like
Becky, Trish, and Lita in the
Becky
one on the
Trisha, oh
social
yeah,
media.
Becky Trisha and Lita. So like your
So
daughter,
do you know that story?
no, you got to tell me that, man. That's
Okay, so
beautiful though.
I'll tell you because we don't have much time.
Yeah,
We're probably gonna have to do this again. But
hopefully.
this was 2021.
Yeah,
My daughter was my daughter, I mentioned, has special needs.
yeah.
She's nonverbal, she is non-mobile, she's in a wheelchair, but she does physical therapy, and she has these things called AFOs. I can't
Mm,
remember what that stands for, but they're things that attach to the bottom of her legs, and they help her when she's practicing standing.
mm,
And so she was getting new AFOs, and they asked, what design do you want on them? What do you want us to put on them? And she has this eye gaze communication device, and it doesn't always work very well because she gets distracted and she doesn't look at it. But she was very clear. She wanted Becky Lynch on these things. So,
Beautiful.
because that's her favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
So they got Becky Lynch WWE logo on these AFOs. So we put them on her, took a picture, put
Yeah.
it on social media. I was like, look at Emily's cool new AFOs with her favorite wrestler on them. Well, I have friends that, see this, and Brian Alvarez, I'm pretty sure, is the one who retweeted it. And because he has so many followers, somehow Seth Rollins saw it. And then that's how
Good dude.
Becky Lynch got it. And Becky Lynch quote tweets it. And she says, "This is so lovely. I just sent you a DM." And so as this comes up, I'm at working at home or whatever, and I had to go pick her up at daycare.
Yeah.
So in the 20 minutes that I was gone, my social media blew up, and I'm getting texts. I'm like, check your DMs. So I get in there, and there's a message from Becky Lynch, and she's like, "I just saw your thing. It's so lovely. I'd love to have a Zoom chat with you sometime."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay. When would you want to do it?" And she's like, "I could do it in an hour." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So she was off at the time.
Yeah.
She was off. She just had her baby, and so she sets up, and we end up setting up this Zoom chat. And my daughter and my wife were on it, and Becky, and I was sitting right where I'm sitting right now, talking to her, and she had her daughter with her,
Yeah.
and we were the only people outside of her own family that had ever seen her daughter, because her daughter was still 2 months old or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You can't release this video or anything." I'm like, no, don't worry, I'm not even recording it.
Yeah.
And then we kept in touch or whatever, and eventually, she said, "Well, I'd love if you could come to WrestleMania next year." And
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And that she was getting ready for a return. She got us tickets. We went down there ourselves. We drove down to Dallas. It's
Yeah.
straight down the I-29 and few minutes. It's a 1-day drive basically, but took us 2. And and we get down there, and she got us these seats that were amazing. They were
Yeah.
just off the floor, but 10 rows back from the ring, but raised so we could
So
see
you could
everything
see.
better than
Yeah.
people that were in the 10th row.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we got to meet her, and then that's where that picture got taken, because we
It's so
had about a
beautiful.
15-minute meeting with Becky,
Yeah.
and Trish just walks by, and she's like, "Oh, this is so cool. Can I get in on this picture?" And Lita, and then Trish hands Becky's personal assistant her phone and says, "I want to get a picture of this family with us." So we get a picture, and then it's my daughter, my other daughter was with us. She was helping me with Emily, my youngest.
Yeah.
And my daughter's texting her friend. She goes, "Some wrestler woman has my picture on her phone," because my daughter didn't know anything about wrestling.
Yeah.
My other daughter, and yeah, so it was really cool. And I've kept in touch with Becky over the years, and there's one time when we bought front row tickets to SmackDown in Winnipeg, and she's like, "Why did you buy tickets? I would have got you tickets." And
That's
but
great,
then
man.
last year we wanted to go to Mania, and
Yeah.
I didn't even ask her because I heard that it was really hard for people to get tickets, and then
Yeah.
we couldn't go. So, but if we go next year, I'm gonna see if maybe she can get us tickets. But
That'd be beautiful, man. Because
yeah,
that's beautiful. I also like my first cousin. She's also nonverbal, has cerebral palsy, that kind of thing. So it's great to see that. It's great to see Becky take time out of her busy life, because this is like a
yeah.
superstar, and then you get those three legends together, and
Oh, that was just surreal.
Trish is that's Canadian wrestling royalty right there.
Yeah.
And man, that's beautiful. And
Yeah. And my daughter, I don't think she knew who they were, Trish and Lita, but man, you can see there's the one picture where she's with Becky, she's looking at her, and just the love, and from both of them,
yeah,
and we got a bunch of pictures, and there's some better ones. I put that one on there because it had all 3 of them in it, but
yeah,
I think there's the one on my pin post there where it's just her and Becky, and if you just zoom in and look at their eyes,
yeah.
it's
I
it's pretty incredible. Like, and my daughter is, like I said, nonverbal, but she's very expressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one, the first one there.
Yeah.
Like, you can
Because
just see how much
yeah.
they, the love there. It's,
Yeah.
oh,
It's beautiful. You see
yeah,
Emily like just kind of like looking at Becky, and Becky's
yeah,
looking back at her, and you just
yeah,
feel the love. And like people like when we talk about these wrestlers and what they do, like beyond just the wrestling, like we're talking about like when they do like, because this is not even a Make-A-Wish thing. This is just some
no,
fan.
this is, yeah, this
This is
is,
just some fan. Because like sometimes the Make-A-Wish thing, like they do it because like they're scheduled to do it. But I
right.
always see like these wrestlers take time out of their day always to like for their fans. They'll take the time out for their fans no matter what, and I think that's beautiful. And I don't want you to get in trouble, so like I just want to say thank you for coming on here, man.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's these two questions I always ask at the end of my show,
sure. Yeah.
because I'm so honored to have shared my faith with you because I never shared it on my show
Oh,
ever.
wow.
This is the
Okay.
first time I ever shared like my faith, and like I just think what everything is beautiful in life. Even the tragedies are beautiful because whatever happens is what happens, but it's what we make of it that where we grow as people and where we can see where we're going into the future. And so my favorite part of every meal, of course, because just this past week was Canadian Thanksgiving. So my
Hmm.
favorite part of every meal is dessert. So what's your favorite dessert, man?
Wow. I'm not a huge dessert guy, but I would have to say Black Forest cake, but
Ooh,
it's got to have a very specific kind of icing. And
okay.
to the point where like sometimes I'll go buy it, and if it's not the right kind of icing, I won't even eat it. Like
Mm,
it's like whipped cream icing. And then
okay.
in the inside, it's like whipped cream, but with cherries.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a very specific, but
I,
yeah,
I I
that
got
would
it,
be it.
man.
Yeah,
And again, I just want to thank you for coming on, sharing your faith with me,
sure.
sharing your family's history with me, sharing those stories with me, because it's beautiful. And it's beautiful to me. You had me crying here, bud.
Sorry.
But no, 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 it's great. No, it's great. Sometimes you need to cry to like let out like whatever you have inside. And I always say it's great to feel emotions. It's okay to feel things. And speaking of feeling things, I always ask this question, and it's always like a fun sort of vibes check to see who my guest is. If a rainbow appeared out of the sky, and I know for some Christians a rainbow is like a
Yeah.
miracle, right? So it's like a message
Mhm.
from God. What would you want that rainbow to say?
So I saw that you were going to ask me this, and it reminded me of something that I wrote after my grandpa died. And my grandpa was my hero. And so what I would want this thing to say is what I said to him. And so the last thing I said to my grandpa before he died was that he left the world a much better place than it was when he came into it. And that's what I would want my rainbow to say is you left the world a better place than when you came into it. And
Yeah,
when I said that to him, and it was the last words that he ever spoke to me, he just looked at me and he said, "I love you, son." And my grandpa had never had a son. He only had 6 daughters. So I was the oldest grandson, and I was the closest thing to a son he had. And my aunt Darlene told me after I told her that story, my aunt Darlene, youngest daughter, she was kind of like a sister to me too. She said he always considered you a son. I don't know if you knew that or not. And I didn't until he said that. So
yeah,
yeah, so
man.
I want that to say if I could be like my grandpa, that would be the best compliment I could ever have.
That's
So yeah,
that's so beautiful.
thank
And I
you.
want to thank Mr. Paul Fontaine for joining me here. We got pretty deep here. We didn't even talk
We
wrestling,
did. No, well, we'll definitely do this
but
again, maybe in a month or
but
two or something, or
yeah.
as our schedules align, and actually talk wrestling next time.
Yeah, yeah, but this is wonderful. This is beautiful. This is exactly what I want to do with my show is share these beautiful stories and share this
Awesome.
kind of beautiful history. So like you could catch the Dynamite Show every week. I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you do your
Yeah,
plugs.
Fight Game Media, just search the Dynamite Show. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, Apple. It's real easy. If you say Dynamite Show Paul Fontaine, you'll find us. And
Yeah.
we do a show once a week. Jeff Hawkins, we have a lot of fun. it's not your typical Dynamite Show review, because most of the reviewers I've heard tend to gush over the show, and sometimes we don't necessarily like what we're watching, and we're not afraid to say it. But for the most part, we like it. We wouldn't do the show if we didn't like it. But there's some weeks is not as good as other weeks. So it's a lot. We have a lot of fun though, and Jeff is a super funny guy, comedian by trade. You should have him on your show sometime. He's awesome.
I would love to have him. That's a work in progress.
There you go.
And I just want to say, man, like, of all the shows I listen to that do Dynamite reviews, I think you guys have like the most balanced take on it. Because like you said, a lot of people love to gush on it, but then when it's not what they like, they really love to bury it. They bury it so badly when it's not what they want. So, but what you guys do, you guys kind of do like a balanced, like fair take, whether it's good or bad. And I think that's great, and that's kind of what you need. Because you go too far in the other way or the other, you end up being like a Jim Cornette, and that's not cool.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't want to be that.
Yeah, but thank you so much for joining me, man.
No problem.
This has been beautiful, and hopefully we get to do this again, because this has been eye-opening, and man, you had me in tears in a good way. So my brother in Christ, I do like a little bit of affirmations at the end of my show, so I'm gonna do this for you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me today was one Mr. Paul Fontaine, a family man, a father, a grandfather, someone who through his faith and through like just belief in himself has been able to overcome like these obstacles in his life, whether that be alcoholism, whether that be his loss of faith, whether it just be, maybe he stubbed his toe on the couch. But this man has been able to overcome all of those things and come out of it a stronger man, a better man, like someone that has the light of God and the love of God in his heart. And I just want to say thank you for joining me, because this has been one of my favorite interviews ever, man.
Awesome.
As my brother in Christ, I want to say thank you for coming here, man. This has been tremendous.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
we'll do it again sometime.
Nico.